Gingornitis, Unleash This Book Reviews, bringing you a new book review on average during the weekend. I got sick of video making for a couple days, so it's Monday. A Clockwork Orange. Alex is the main character in this book. He is 15 when it starts, 17 near the end, and I believe he turns 18 right at the end of the book. I don't know how much of a background you guys need on this. I'm sure plenty of you have seen Stanley Kubrick's take of the movie, take of the book through film, and a lot of people are big fans of it, and I have to say that I think it sticks really well to the themes of the book. I know some people have discrepancies, but I don't. Let's take a look at a cool few things in A Clockwork Orange. For example, the language. The whole book is done in this type of speak that the author tries to tell us is what the teenagers at that time period are talking in. Which, by the way, this is sort of a dystopian novel, I suppose you could say. It doesn't really give a time frame. I believe it's supposed to be taking place in the future, but not too far into the future. I think it's supposed to represent like 20 years from now, whenever you're reading it. It's supposed to be the pretty immediate future. A lot of gangs and stuff are coming out because the law is not as strong as it once had been. Basically, the country is falling to shreds. I believe it's supposed to be England, but I don't think they ever say. And due to this, there are forming these gangs of teenagers, and these gangs of teenagers who are 15 and 16 and 17 talk in this weird but fun language. And I suppose this is one of those things that's going to split you right down the middle. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. I thought it was really fun, and it led to me wanting to read the book more. Now, I think if the book solely was formed around just this language that was created and there was no substance to the story, that this thing would have faltered and people probably wouldn't be remembering it right now. It probably would have fallen out of the general consciousness. But the reason it has stuck around is because that frosting of the cool language is sitting on top of a really good story, I feel. That story follows a teen who is troubled and is doing a lot of violent, evil things. When that stuff gets caught up to him and he finds himself in trouble with the law, how they go about trying to fix him and make him a better person. And so I think another issue here that I really enjoy is the morality aspect here, which is, you'll see if you read, and I don't want to give too much away plot-wise, but there's a strong argument here at debate, I suppose you could say, as to what is good and what is bad, and is good really good if we don't consciously choose to be doing it. In other words, if we can be rewired to always be good and always do the right thing, what does that say about our ability to choose in general, and how choosing defines what the human experience is all about? Sorry for always making things deeper than they have to be, but yeah, that's one part that I really enjoyed. The other thing that I think is interesting is how much of a kick we as readers, or at least me, maybe I'm giving a little too much away about myself, but I think this is a reason why the book is really popular, is how much enjoyment we get out of watching these violent acts or reading about these violent acts that Alex is enjoying. It's sort of like that Freudian concept of the id, just wanting to do violent acts and weird, crazy things, but written about so well and described with such joy from the main narrator that we also get a kick out of these things. And I love that conflict that causes in me, debating, how good of a person am I really? I don't know. I think it's interesting that we all seem to kind of go through this phase as a teenager that Alex goes through. Certainly not to this extent, most of us, and some may think that we led a very normal teenagerhood where we didn't get into too much mischief, but I challenge you to think about that and how much you fought the system as a kid, So those are some thoughts on the book. I'm not going to rant forever, but I really liked it, and I think you will too if you give it a read. It's short, whatever, Dean Gornitis, Unleash This Book Reviews. Next week, The Hobbit, because the movie's coming out, and I grew up on The Hobbit, and it was my favorite book as a child, so I wanted to read it again and saw what I thought about it. So look for that next Saturday, The Hobbit. Alright? See you guys. I forgot, I wanted to add one thing. Take note of this, at least it's something I thought was cool. And maybe everybody knows about this, and I just got there late to the game. But in the book, Alex forms this connection between classical music, what he once used to love, and the horrible feelings we get inside when we see something very violent and nauseating. And so from that point, when he makes that connection, everything evil that he sees makes him nauseous. And then in turn, when he hears that music he used to love, it also makes him nauseous, which obviously would suck. But if you watch Stanley Kubrick's version of the book, take note of when the really violent acts come on, the stuff that he filmed that you wonder how it got into movie theaters, that makes you look away or fast forward because it's just too much. He plays music in the background too. A lot of very, very famous classical numbers. And I wonder deep down if I watched these scenes over and over, or if I just saw this movie, say 4 or 5 times a year, would that do the same thing to me when I heard those type of beautiful classic numbers now attached to something violent? I don't know. But cheers to Kubrick on that one. Alright, that's all. See ya.